Something ancient is racing through our skies. It's older than the sun, stranger than any comet, and it's rewriting what we thought we knew about the cosmos. The interstellar mystery getting weirder by the day. Take a look.
At first, it looked like a comet of fuzzy coma, a faint tail, dust drifting off into space. But this intruder defies expectations. It's behaving like nothing we have seen. Discovered on July 1st, 2025 by the Atlas telescope in Chile, 3I Atlas is moving through our solar system at over 2,45,000 kilometers per hour, the fastest known visitor from interstellar space. But what has scientists whispering isn't its speed, it's what's following it. 9 smaller glowing objects moving in perfect formation with Atlas, as if it were leading a convoy. The once reddish glow has now turned green. Its behavior defies logic. Its tail glows electric green, and it's spewing water vapor like a fire hose on full blast. Billions of gallons bleeding into space while it remains perfectly intact. This much water, this far from the sun, shouldn't exist. Scientists now believe 3I Atlas formed before our solar system was born, carrying elements that could seed life across galaxies. In few days it will disappear behind the sun and will again emerge in November 2025. But when it re-emerges, telescopes worldwide will lock on, because this is no passing comet, it's a messenger from the dark beyond, whispering secrets we are only beginning to hear.
China is expanding its missile strength in the Tibetan Plateau. A new report has revealed a major expansion of China's missile forces near Golmod city. This remote area perched high on the plateau there is reportedly emerging as a strategic hub for China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, also known as PLARF. But what exactly is happening there, and why should the world take notice? Here's why. Since 2021, when China's missile silos were first discovered in Gansu, experts have been tracking the rapid buildup of the long-range capabilities in Western China. Golmod has long served as a military logistics hub, but now satellite images and open source analysis suggesting that a new missile brigade may be taking shape, one that is potentially being equipped with DF-26 missiles, a weapon with a range of up to 4,000 kilometers. Now, these are not just any missiles. The DF-26 has dual capabilities, which means that it can carry either nuclear or conventional warheads. DF-26, which is short for Dongfeng 26, is China's intermediate-range ballistic missile with a range of 4,000 kilometers. It is China's first conventionally armed ballistic missile, in fact, capable of striking as far as Guam, one of America's key military bases in the Pacific. So could this be China signaling its growing regional ambitions? Is that the message here? A new report showing a central base compound with high bay garages designed for transporter erector launchers, networks of roads leading to multiple launch pads, and even inflatable dome structures, which could possibly be decoys or temporary shelters to hide equipment from satellite observation. These features match the configuration of China's road mobile missile brigades that are designed for survivability and operational flexibility. According to experts, the new Golmod brigade may initially field at least a dozen launchers, potentially expanding to more than 30. Over the coming years, that's a lot, in fact, and it comes at a time when China's rocket force is phasing out older missiles in favor of more advanced systems like the DF-26 and possibly the DF-27. In fact, local government reports and Chinese media indicating that PLARF units have been conducting training deployments, live fire exercises, and even civil outreach programs in Golmod. Troops have been stationed in the area for extended periods, reportedly, participating in field exercises and receiving legal education, a sign that China is fully integrating military operations with the local administration. What does all of this really mean for regional security is the immediate question. From Golmod, China could project power across South Asia and the Pacific, which could complicate America's strategic posture in the region. The dual-capable nature of the DF-26 also raises the stakes. In a crisis, it might be difficult to distinguish whether a missile is conventional or nuclear, complicating escalation calculations. In short, Golmod is no longer just a remote plateau city. It is becoming a linchpin in China's growing long-range strike network, the expansion signaling not just modernization but ambition. A China that is strengthening its deterrence, enhancing flexibility, and preparing for scenarios that stretch across the region. The question still is, how will America respond to China's growing missile capability? One thing as of now is clear. The eyes of the world are on Golmod. America's love affair with plastic is turning into a financial nightmare. This year, household credit card debt hit a record $1.33 trillion. From Hawaii to California to Texas, debt levels are mounting. Many Americans are struggling just to make the minimum payments on their credit card dues. All this while the U.S. economy shows signs of severe strain, and the government shutdown is set to cost $15 billion every week, reportedly. Let's just look at what the numbers actually look like. According to Wallet Hub's August 2025 report, some U.S. states are feeling the pain more than others. Households in Hawaii carry the highest credit card debt, with an average of $15,100 per household. $15,100 per household. California and Alaska are not too far behind, with average debts of $13,800 and $13,600 respectively. And it does not just stop there, as New York, Texas, Florida also see credit card balances climbing month after month. Nationally, the average U.S. household owes $10,668 on credit cards, which is the highest on record. On the other side, credit card interest rates in the U.S. now average nearly 25% per year. In fact, as a result, delinquencies are up 28% from last year. While inflation may have cooled down somewhat, stalled income growth has trapped millions of Americans in revolving debt. Credit card debt is not just an American story, of course. While the U.S. clearly tops the global charts, the U.K. is not too far behind, with credit card debt of around $9,200 per household. Canada's household credit card debt standing at around $7,800. Those figures on the screen there. Japan and Europe's figures, meanwhile, are about half of Canada's. Where does India stand? It's less than $1,000 per household. Still, India's credit card debt has risen in recent years, with Warren Buffett, remember, recently warning about the rise in consumer loans, especially small-ticket EMI-driven purchases. He cautioned consumers to be aware of debt traps. Analysts had predicted a surge in consumer debt ahead of the festive season, with a boost in purchases from GST rate cuts. Still, America's debt levels are no match for any country in the world. Just to put that into perspective, America's record $1.33 trillion credit card debt is now larger than the total GDP of several countries. The U.S. household credit card debt alone is more than the entire GDP of the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Poland, Switzerland, Belgium, Taiwan, Ireland, Argentina. Analysts warn the U.S. could be heading for a debt-driven economic slowdown where consumers spend less, businesses pull back, and growth begins to fall. But then the biggest question here is, can the world's biggest economy keep borrowing its way out of trouble? Donald Trump has delivered a stunning setback to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. After days of threats and tough talk, warning Russia that he would arm Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles if Moscow refused to return to peace talks. The U.S. president has now pulled back. The threat is off the table, at least for now. For days, remember, Trump had been brandishing the possibility of sending Kiev one of America's most powerful weapons, the Tomahawk, a missile with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers, could strike deep inside Russia, even reach Moscow, and put hundreds of military targets at risk. The Kremlin had warned that such a move would mark, quote, a very dramatic moment in the war. Zelensky, who was visiting Washington for talks with Trump, was expected to press for the missiles during his White House visit. But on the eve of that meeting, Trump held a call with Putin, and soon after he changed course. Trump said America cannot afford to deepen its own missile shortage, dashing Kiev's hopes of securing the Tomahawks. But what really happened? What prompted Trump's U-turn? Or was this his plan all along? To use the threat as leverage, perhaps, and not as a promise. Let's break this down for you. First, what makes these Tomahawks such a big deal? Why are they so important? You see, the Tomahawk land attack missile is one of America's most powerful long-range weapons, and it's exactly what Ukraine has been asking for, because it would massively extend Kiev's reach, allowing it to hit targets deep inside Russia with precision. The US has already allowed Ukraine to use Army tactical missile systems with a range of about 300 kilometers. In fact, the Tomahawk, the precision-guided Tomahawk cruise missile, can strike targets from 1,000 miles, that's 1,600 kilometers away, even in heavily defended airspace. Think about that. Moscow, its oil refineries, its drone factories, its military bases, all could be within reach. According to the Institute for the Study of War, at least 1,900 Russian targets could fall within range of a full variant Tomahawk. Even a shorter 1,600-kilometer version could reach key sites, including the factory in Yelabuga, where Russia is mass-producing Shahed attack drones being used against Ukraine. Right now, Ukraine has been using long-range drones to strike Russian oil refineries, some as far as 1,400 kilometers beyond the front lines. Now, these strikes have damaged facilities, but experts say drones alone cannot destroy heavily fortified targets. In fact, the ISW notes that drone warheads are small, about 120 kilograms on Ukraine's FP-1 drones, while a Tomahawk can carry a warhead nearly 4 times heavier. In short, Tomahawks would give Ukraine the power to strike harder, deeper, and with greater impact. And this is important because they are not just a magic bullet. War experts say that there has been an obsession in a way with the Tomahawk, even though it's based on decades-old technology. Then there is Russia, of course, with its modern air defenses, like Russia's S-400 systems, capable of shooting them down. Sure, Tomahawks could help pressure Russia's air defenses, but they will not actually change the course of the war. Still, even if some missiles get through, they could do some serious damage to strategic sites inside Russia. So the question is, would the US be willing to supply thousands of them? And that is unlikely, to put it simply. Meanwhile, Moscow has been sounding the alarm, of course. The Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, has said that the possibility of Tomahawks in Ukraine is causing extreme concern. President Putin warned that any supply of such missiles would mark a new stage of escalation. That's a familiar refrain. We heard similar warnings before the delivery of the F-16s, the Abrams tanks. None of them sparked a major escalation as such. But this time around, the diplomatic moves are already underway. Trump says his call with Putin was very productive and that the two leaders will likely meet in Budapest within 2 weeks. Zelensky, who is meeting Trump in Washington, remember, has credited the threat of Tomahawks for bringing Moscow back to the table. In fact, he posted on X, I'm quoting, "We can already see that Moscow is rushing to resume dialogue as soon as it hears about Tomahawks," quote unquote. But then, will these efforts really bear bear fruit is the question, and all eyes will be on that meeting between Trump and Zelensky. Shifting focus now to West Asia, where a dangerous new frontier appears to be emerging. Mossad is reportedly building a covert spy network inside Yemen, setting the stage for what could become the next flashpoint for Israel, perhaps. Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon have killed at least one person and injured 7 others. The strikes hit multiple locations, including the towns of Bnafaul and Ansar. In fact, the Lebanese Health Ministry confirmed the casualties, while Israel claimed its forces were targeting Hezbollah positions. The Israeli army has said it struck Hezbollah's military sites in Mazrat Sinai, but Lebanese president accused Israel of hitting civilian areas instead. In fact, he condemned what he called a clear violation of last year's ceasefire agreement, warning that Israel's attacks are meant to cripple Lebanon's infrastructure and derail its recovery under the guise of security operations. Meanwhile, the Houthis have announced the death of their military chief, Major General Mohammad al-Ghamari. He was killed alongside his son and several associates in what the Houthis describe as an Israeli airstrike. The Iran-backed group has vowed to retaliate. Israel's defense minister, meanwhile, confirmed the strike, saying Ghamari died from his wounds. While the Israeli prime minister has said Ghamari was eliminated along a series of terrorist commanders and vowed to continue pursuing others who threaten Israel, the Israeli military is claiming Ghamari was central to developing the Houthis' missile systems and weapons factories and was trained directly by Hezbollah and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. But then amid all of this, a major revelation seems to be unfolding in Yemen. According to a Lebanese media report, Mossad has started recruiting Yemenis online, appealing to those opposed to the Houthis to join its secretive unit, 504. The report further claiming that Israel plans to expand its intelligence footprint in Yemen as a preemptive move before potential retaliation for the country's vocal support of Gaza. According to reports, the Netanyahu government intends to keep military operations in Yemen active even after the Gaza war has ended, or so it seems, allowing independent military action to continue.